Morning. It's about 9:30 and we're on the last climb out of the Gila alternate back into the red line. So by the time we get up to the little ridge that we're currently climbing, it's gonna be 7 miles. Started at 6:45 this morning, and like I said, since yesterday and the day before were big days, today is gonna be a smaller day. Only planning to do a total of around 17 miles to the next water source, maybe a few miles more, and that would then give me ideally another 2 days to roll into Pie Town, and that would work quite well with the amount of food that I brought. And yeah, looking forward to rolling into town and also to have like a little bit of a break there. Last night was actually the first time since I've been on this trail where there was a little bit of rain. I guess you can't even call it rain. It was more like a number of individual dots that came down with some lightning in the distance. Didn't even have to close my tent. That's how little it was. So I've made it up onto the ridge line and we're officially back on the red line. So the official CDT, so to speak. And I'm just finishing the last little bit of climbing to get up to the high point of today, where apparently there's a little bit of cell phone reception. That will be good. And that little peak that we're heading up now is about 3,000 meters. And it's interesting how 3,000 meters here just isn't the same as 3,000 meters in the Alps. As you can see, I'm still walking through a forest here, and there's cattle up here as well, grass. So the vegetation seems to go a lot higher here than it does in the Alps. And there's a decision that's coming up for me once I'm hitting Highway 12, which is about 2/3 of the way between Silver City and Pie Town. And after Highway 12, the trail splits into a blue line and a red line. So either I stick with the red line, which is apparently more trail walking, which I would really appreciate, but it ends with a 12 or 14 mile highway walk into town, which I could of course hitch. Now the alternative would be the blue line, which is mostly forest roads, but has the advantage that 14 miles out of Pie Town there's a place called Davila Ranch, which is essentially a camping spot for hikers where there's laundry and electricity and water, and that would of course also be a good spot because apparently they also have eggs and potatoes and some fresh food, which will be appreciated. Quick check-in from the hospital. In general, everything's good. My entire body is a little bit exhausted and sore. That is to be expected. However, my left foot is absolutely killing me. Yesterday I had a blister develop on the second little toe that looked like I had 6 toes. And I mean, I have half the foot is taped off and it's still hurting and burning, and so today is more of a controlled stumble than of a hike, I guess. So whenever I stop and start again, it just takes about half a mile for the pain to kind of numb away. Not fun, I'll be honest. I really hope that it gets better soon, which is clearly possible, as my right foot shows, which doesn't have any issues. I don't really know what's wrong with my left foot though. Can't really say. So I just try to take care of it as good as I can. However, even just doing basic things such as keeping it clean is quite hard out here. if you don't have any water. So trying my best, but it'll probably take some time in Pi Town to heal off and give it some chance to recover. Now when the trail is rough and it's a single trail, you need to concentrate where you're going, then I don't really need any distraction. I don't need music, I don't need podcasts. I also don't need somebody to talk to. But then there is sections such as all of yesterday and most of this morning where you're just mindlessly walking down a forest road, and it is nice to have things to take your mind off what you're doing. I don't know, listen to a book. Or this morning, for example, I hiked for 3 hours with an older gentleman from Colorado, and we had an interesting conversation about life in the military. He has been in the military most of his life, and I learned a lot about that and how it sent him around the world and the things he had done there. So, you know, it doesn't just connect you to your fellow hikers, but it's also a nice way to pass the time if the trail doesn't really provide any entertainment. Because if there's no views, there's no animals, and just a straight road, it can be, yeah, a bit numb. Well, let's start with the eating stuff. What's your name? And where are you from?
Kevin Bars from Colorado, Monument, Colorado.
And what's your trail name?
The trail name is Slow Draw.
All right. And why did you decide to hike the CDT?
Wanted to do something. I just retired in February, so I wanted to do something hard. I've done a couple of 100-mile ultras, haven't finished them, so I wanted to finish something long.
Okay, yeah, the CDT definitely fits that, huh? And how has it been treating you so far?
Oh, it's good. It seems like the CDT is designed to slowly increase the intensity as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was a really good hill climb. That was really making me sorry that I was hill climbing. But it's been good.
All right. This looks like an old burn area. Not so sure exactly what happened here, but if you look at the mountains around, you can kind of see what it looks like. So probably a few years ago, and you can see how much is already coming up again. So it's the circle of life. Haven't seen that in a while. On the alternates, there are no markers for the CDT because they are not officially part of the CDT. So I haven't seen that for almost a week. Well, my watch apparently doesn't think that I'm having a rest day, as it seems. You're not gonna believe this, but this is rain. So it's been just drizzling minimally on and off for a while now. I wouldn't even call it rain. The only reason you notice it because you hear the leaves will get impacted by the raindrops. It's a bit like in those safari documentaries. All the CDT hikers gather around the only water hole in a 20-mile radius. Now the good news with these get-togethers is everybody's just drawn to water. So everybody, if there's the only water source in miles, it's just where everybody comes together. And obviously you chat and you kind of talk about what's coming up and who's doing what, where's water, etc., etc. So the good news is that it's actually only 40 miles left to Davila Ranch, which is on the blue alternate. So that means if we do a little bit today, a little bit more, then we can split that into 2 days, 18 miles each, and it will work out perfectly. Now the bad news is that means I'm still walking, so I'm trying to do another 4 miles to get a little dent into that next section, so we can split the remaining distance into 2 days.
Now, the other good news is there is water up here on this mountain in a little cow puddle. And the bad news is it's a cow puddle with all the fun that's associated with it. So I put some electrolyte tablets in it to just get over the taste. I also just did a little inventory of my food bag. The good news is I have more than enough to get me to Pie Town. The bad news is I've been carrying actually a lot too much food, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Either I miscounted or I was just faster than expected. Anyway, the good news is I can eat double rations both tonight and tomorrow for lunch. All right, wrapping today up. It's 7 o'clock. I just had dinner and we put up the tent, and it's still light out. So that's a pretty good indicator for a not completely stressed day. It wasn't entirely the rest day that I envisioned, but it was okay. It took sufficient amount of breaks. We also did not do more than 20 miles, so in a lot of ways, it was a good day. And now it's 36 miles to the Villa Ranch, and then from there it's just, I think, 13 or 14 mile forest road walk into Pie Town. So if all goes well, we should be there in 3 days. And as you can hear, it is the first day since I've arrived in New Mexico that there's a little bit of rain. It's not really rain. It's like fizzling a little bit, and then it stops again. Then it starts again. I wouldn't call it rain. Actually, I have to correct myself. It's hail, not rain.